before we get started with this review, I just want to offer my thoughts and prayers as yesterday was um, um, was definitely a hard day, definitely a sad day for a lot of people. There was three deaths yesterday that happened yesterday. Ken Osmond, who played Eddie Hasek in Leave It to Beaver. Um, we also, as a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, former Pirate Starling Marte lost his wife to a heart attack yesterday as well, and also, of course, to the wrestling community as well. The the tragic loss, for what it seems to be concluded right now, of Shad Gaspard of Crime Time for WWE, which is what I'm going to focus on for sure. Um, those who don't know the story, Gaspard apparently was swimming with his 10-year-old son when he got caught in a riptide at the Marina del Rey in Venice Beach on Sunday afternoon. Um, this is from comicbook.com I'm reading. Um, the father and son were about 75 yards from shore when the rescue team first arrived at the site of the riptide. But by the time they reached them, the two had been pushed out 200 yards north due to the strong current. Um, it looked like being inside a front-loaded washing machine, one of the rescue crew described. Um, the waves kept crashing on, pushing you down, and you just obviously that thing you're probably going to die. A lifeguard who had reached the pair attempted to throw out a rescue can, able to try to get them back to shore, um, and all Gasper kept saying was just, rescue my son, take my son, save him. That's all he kept saying. It took 3 minutes to get his son back to shore. A wave then pushed Gaspard under in the impact zone, but then Hasek said when the lifeguard turned to go back to the pro wrestler, he did not resurface. And that's the last time they saw him. And as of now, they've suspended its search. But, it does not look good. And that's hard if for a loss like that. Where else could he possibly be and know that he's even alive at this point? We already can't find him. He was washed away. It's like when Roberto Clemente died back in 1974 in that plane crash. The body was never found. That may be the same case with Shad Gaspard, unfortunately. That's the worst way. You'd hate to see somebody die, but, you'd rather know it rather than sitting here all this time, rest of your life wondering, we never found the body. Could it still be out there somewhere? Where is it? You don't have that closure. You want to have that closure, but you can't. So I definitely offer my thoughts and prayers for sure to Ken Osmond. We also have again Starling Marte's wife. I forgot what her name is, and of course Shad Gaspard as well. So I just wanted to take the moment just to pause for a moment of silence to remember each of them. Thank you. So now to my Raw review, guys. What's going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993, and I'm here live to talk about last night's episode of Raw, the May 18th, 2020 edition of Raw. Well, today is May 19th. May 19th, of course, Kane. But we're gonna talk about last night's episode of Raw, and I promise, guys. Well, next week, the place I work at is starting up normal operations again next week. So I'm going back to my normal shift of 9:30 to 6. Right now I'm working 8 to 4. But I'm going back to 9:30 to 6 next week. So I can say I'm probably just a tad bit later on Monday nights. And probably not to get up as early also. So that's why, of course, I've been waiting these till next day. Because I'm tired after Raw most of the time anymore. So we'll see what goes on. And of course, this week, I'm going to be able to watch Dynamite or NXT. Probably Dynamite will be first live. That way, I'll be able to watch it live and be able to review it right after the show, since there's nothing else on now and there's no trivia nights right now still. But so let's talk about this episode of Raw. My thoughts on Raw are, last year around this time, I was getting some of the worst wrestling content shown to me, I thought. And the biggest reason, the wild card rule. And they've brought it back. Well, I'm sorry, it's the brand to brand invitation. And it's back to this era where it feels like you watch SmackDown. Alright, for the past several months, SmackDown has been lifeless. It's boring, it's pointless, there's nothing to the show. And honestly, at times, I'd rather have those shows. Because to me, it's like, it was what it was. Nothing to remember, was a complete waste of time. Watching shows like this, the past 2 weeks, even though I'll say I've definitely enjoyed these shows slightly better than the ones we were getting on this caliber last year around this time, because there's actually some stuff that interests me a little bit. But these are the type of shows you watch. Not only do you question why you watch them, but you feel like you're getting insulted by watching them. Because everything is not pointless, it's not boring, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid and makes so many people look like idiots. The overhype, the overexposure, just the maneuvers, the wrestlers who shouldn't be getting involved with commentary. Definitely commentary is bad. Comedy, because I'm easily starting to compare a tag title feud to another feud that I hated a couple years ago in 2016. And we'll talk about that when we get to that feud. So, there's quite a bit to talk about that happened on this show. Quite a bit I want to rant about. So, we're going to get it all off my chest. And that's why, of course, I waited till today. That way I got the energy, and I can just let out my thoughts, and we can go on. But let's check out the live chat, see what we got here. What's up, Mark? Not too bad by myself. Why do we even watch nothing exciting ever happens? Exactly. And for sure, prayers to everyone, family and friends. And why is Nia getting a title shot? Give it to anybody else. Why? She's related to The Rock. We'll talk about that. I don't mind seeing Drew versus Bobby. I'll talk about that as well when we get to it. But thank you for your stuff in the live chat, Mark. Let's get rolling and let's talk about this show. The Edge versus Orton match is completely pointless. Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're definitely talking about that first, because of course that's the first thing that happened on the show. Charlie Caruso comes out. Then out comes Randy Orton, who says WWE stands for World Wrestling Entertainment, and wrestling is the basis of everything they do. Edge won at WrestleMania, and restates his case that for having a vanilla wrestling match as a rematch. He addresses Edge directly. He knows why he didn't accept the challenge last week. It's written over his face. He saw doubt. The grit and passion faded away, not replaced by doubt and fear, because Edge apparently can't do a normal wrestling match, but he can pull off a brutal last man standing match, or he can take people out in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Edge comes out. Randy gave him a lot to chew on. What? You're really doubting this, Edge? He sees the game of chess he's playing. Orton stands there with that stupid smug lurk, like this is just a paycheck to him. Well, Edge gets it. Orton is probably the most talented wrestler he's ever seen. But this isn't the life he wanted. It's the life he was handed. His backup plan. Orton is different than all the other guys in the locker room because he doesn't care. He didn't go to bed dreaming of being champion. He never had to fight for 9 years just to get back to the ring, and doesn't love the sport like Edge does. He can say the best wrestler didn't win, but then Randy cuts him off and he's like, I just want an answer. And Edge accepts, and then Orton just walks away. What did this segment say? This segment just basically said, let's repeat what we've been doing, what we did for the time people actually cared, because we're just here to get the ratings, right? That's all this was. Again, the fact that this whole idea that Edge should be doubting himself because he can't have a wrestling match? Literally, these stipulations are meant to maintain things up to a whole nother level. Make it extreme. What's Randy Orton beating Edge in a one-on-one match going to do to Edge? What's it going to do? And the fact also they're still calling that this could be one of the greatest matches of all time. You know how much I hate the overhype? Like, I'm sorry. I'm not looking forward to this match. One, Edge should be moving on to somebody else. And two, it's only there because of the ratings. Everybody thinks, Vince thinks we're that stupid. Oh my gosh, it's the Edge and Randy Orton. They're going to love coming back and watching my show. Not when you produce stupid shit like this. Stupid. The greatest wrestling match of all time. You understand what you just did? The two of the greatest of all time? You basically told them you have to go out there and have the greatest wrestling match of all time. As long as Vince believes it, and Vince is going to believe it's the greatest wrestling match of all time, but we're not going to believe it, and we're going to shit on both Orton and Edge. That's going to happen. Yeah, this story just makes no sense. It makes no sense. It just shows the true colors. It's the true colors of how WWE works. Just insulting our intelligence, making no sense, and just doing and bring back these part-timers, well, established, entertaining people that they've already built because they think they're going to draw the viewers. Not the new stars that they should be building that they're making look like absolute idiots. So, the match is official for Backlash. It's probably going to be the main event. I don't care. I'm sorry, I really do not care. It's not going to make me that excited for Backlash at all. So that's how we start off the show. That's whatever. We didn't have a backstage segment. First, we get a recap of what Seth Rollins did to Rey Mysterio's eye last week. Rollins is backstage, wearing a suit, staring off into space. Buddy Murphy comes up, wearing some kind of weird-looking wetsuit. And then he was just like, Murphy, I got a revelation. I want to share it with the world. Let's go for a walk. They come out. Seth says when he lost to McIntyre, part of him believed that he had lost everything. He fell into a place so dark he wasn't sure he'd ever escape, but then he saw the light thanks to Rey Mysterio. What happened to Rey was described as audacious, disgusting, unforgivable, and others as an act of penance. But he sees it as an unfortunate but necessary sacrifice to the greater good. The cathartic moment he needed for clarity. He needs to be the leader he's meant to be. He wants to speak to Rey directly. What happened to him was a blessing in disguise, and he wants to say from the bottom of his heart, you're welcome. Out comes Carrillo basically to stand up for Rey, and basically he wants to have a match with Seth. But Seth is like, well, I'm not dressed to compete, so take on Murphy instead. But I'm like, Murphy has a match against Aleister Black that was already advertised for tonight. Why is Murphy wrestling twice? I mean, I love Buddy Murphy, but why did he wrestle twice on this show? He then went on to beat Carrillo, get him a win. Okay, what was the point of it? Afterwards, Murphy continues to beat down on Carrillo because of Seth Rollins' orders. Then Aleister Black comes up, they brawl, then Black throws him into the ring, lights him up with strikes, but then Murphy ducks away from the Black Mass and runs away as Seth Rollins is running away as well. Okay? Like, why couldn't they just had just a segment, Black comes out, confronts him, that's how they could have set up the match, instead of advertising ahead of time. Instead, we had some random match and make Buddy Murphy compete twice on one show. Why? I don't get it, and I don't think I even want to try to figure it out anyways. So we had that match. Oh, and then afterwards, guess what? We didn't just have Baron Corbin, not King Corbin. We had SmackDown's Baron Corbin. Yeah, that's what Baron Corbin's character name was tonight. SmackDown's Baron Corbin. He was even announced as SmackDown's Baron Corbin. Has this stupid segment backstage where he's complaining about the crew members are poor. He's not getting his own private locker room, and then he's like, "No, why is nobody bowing to me and whatnot? We're gonna make things straight now." Blah blah blah. Acting like how, like, oh my goodness, Raw superstars are treated so differently. What do you even have here? You don't have this, you don't have that, you don't have this. I'm like, Corbin, you've been in the same building for almost 2 months now. And the same shows are taking place in that building all the time. So what's the difference? Think of reality here, Corbin. But no, you're just going to do whatever the heck Vince tells you to do, and it's going to give you the money, and you're going to continue to make yourself look like an idiot on TV. Oh, guys, this is pathetic. Guess what, Corbin? You are pathetic, because all you do is go, "Well, they're big old meetings to me. I didn't get what I wanted." That's how he is, instead of being a tough badass like he was before he lost his briefcase. I'm sorry, did I mention that Corbin lost his money briefcase to Jinder Mahal? Just stupid stuff, annoying. Oh boy. Well, first, then we get this backstage promo with Liv Morgan. Talk about how her mom is her hero and how determined she was. She never quit, and she is her mother's daughter. Sound very scripted there. She had a match against Charlotte recently, and she lost, but she learned that she's determined to become Raw Women's Champion from that. Okay, whatever. Charlotte comes out. And then, of course, we get reminded that she was on SmackDown. She's going to have a match with Bayley. And Charlotte gets on the microphone. She says, "I don't want to bore us and talk about how hard she works or what her credentials are." And she calls out Ruby Riott, who knows she has something she's trying to say to her, and it says it for a stupid match. Basically the same exact crap, how, "Oh, I'm the hardest worker. I'm going from brand to brand to brand, doing all this stuff, doing this person, answering challenges, stepping up, blah, blah, blah." No, it's called you're getting exposed, and you're going to eventually get that white heat, Charlotte. I'm sorry, but literally, the promo she cut on SmackDown on Friday, and then this is all it sounded like Charlotte was basically being Vince's mouthpiece. He knows we don't like it when superstars get overexposed. He knows we don't like this brand to brand invitation that Charlotte's going to show up on all 3 brands just to say the same exact thing every single week. If the whole idea behind Charlotte, I said this on Twitter, if the idea of Charlotte being NXT Women's Champion is to literally have a run like John Cena did as United States Champion in 2015, you're nowhere close. Seriously. John Cena, yeah, he beat pretty much everyone he wrestled, but he made them look excellent. Just excellent. I can name you a ton of matches that Cena had as U.S. Champion I enjoyed. His matches with Kevin Owens, his match with Dean Ambrose, he had a match with Neville, Dolph Ziggler, I remember, was an awesome match. Cesaro, my gosh, he made Cesaro look like a king. A king. He looked amazing out there. Seth Rollins, he had a great match with a couple great matches with when he was United States Champion. A lot of superstars he put over and made look excellent as United States Champion. Charlotte, she makes them all look weak. Except for when she had a match with Io Shirai on NXT. I kind of liked how they kind of teased that Io had something different in her that Charlotte couldn't handle. And you know what? It worked. But she's beating Liv Morgan. Liv didn't look strong in that loss. Ruby Riott was like a chump. How many other superstars she's wrestled on Raw and SmackDown so far? And they're not getting anything out of it. She's not putting them over. She's not making them look good. Because how are you able to even work around a roster like Raw or SmackDown that obviously has relied on 1 or 2 names And now when you actually need people to step up, whenever Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey are not around, what do you have? What do you possibly have if you haven't built up stars? And why do you think like championship reigns like this, that's supposed to make up and coming talent look good, make it not work? Because they're shit. They were nothing to you until you needed them. And once again, I refer always back to that line that CM Punk said in his Art of Wrestling podcast with Colt Cabana. The WWE doesn't do anything to protect the wrestlers. They do things to protect themselves. It's the same with these wrestlers. The WWE only uses you when they need you. When they need you. Not to make you look good. Just because when they need you to fill a time slot on TV. That's all they care about. What segment you're involved in. What you're going to be saying. Who's got this? Who's got that? Again, they do not care as long as it benefits them. So Charlotte beats Ruby Riott like nothing, which is a shame because Ruby Riott of all people should be somebody who is being built up well. We had this segment with MVP and Bobby Lashley. MVP says he's been talking to Bobby and he will not be giving interviews. He's focused on clowns like Truth and also his lovely wife Lana. Yeah. He also asked Lashley what it would be like if he put his full Nelson on the WWE champion. It's been years since he had a chance at it, and he's not trying to cause trouble. He doesn't want anything. He just wants him to think, when is Lashley gonna free Lashley? That's what I've been asking for a while. Oh boy. Then let's talk about this. It was spread out a couple times throughout the night. Last week we had the stupid basketball game between the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders. This whole anything you could do, I could do better storyline. And it's this feud with the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders, to me personally, after watching this week's episode, it's beginning to remind me a lot of what they did with the New Day and the Club back in 2016. Except here's the thing. That time, the Club needed to win that feud. That's when the iron was hot for the Club and it needed to win it. This feud, to me, doesn't matter which one wins. But what makes me think of that feud, compared to New Day and the Club, to this, is the fact that it's literally killing the Viking Raiders even more. Why? Because Vince is relying on comedy again, not to entertain us, but to entertain himself. So they're doing the same thing every single week. It's like, oh, anything you can do, we can do better and whatnot. The people who think they can do it better than them, like last year, Street Profits just roasted the Viking Raiders in basketball 74-2. All of a sudden, it's like, haha, we fooled you. We actually can shoot basketballs. This week, it was the same exact story with, Viking Raiders are doing axe throwing. And there's a bunch of their other Viking friends there. One of them, I think, was Sarah Logan on a horse. But, who knows? But, at first, it's like, the Street Profits can't do it. They're throwing these axes all over the place. Vince is probably sitting in the backstage, like, laughing his ass off. There they go, flying across the yard. It's so hilarious. No, it's not. It's making everybody look stupid. Especially the Viking Raiders. And then, finally, Street Profits basically, start, getting in their groove and whatnot. But then, the police roll up because an axe got into the car. And then they basically threaten them. Suspense, like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But then they end up just giving them a warning because the one police officer thinks Ivar's cute. Really? Just all that just to say, because you're cute. You know what, Vince probably thinks, oh, this is cute. This is cute. It's such good shit. No. It's making the Viking Raiders look like idiots. Some of this stuff, yes, could work for, the Street Profits. But the Viking Raiders, no. It does not work. this karaoke stuff, the basketball stuff, the food stuff, like whatever the heck they're doing with the Viking Raiders, literally just continuing to suck the life completely out of their characters. Ever since they came to the main roster, instantly when they came out as the Viking Experience, boom! You killed them right there. They were tag champions, yeah. They have no characters. They're the newest club. Heck, if you make them even worse, they're the next Ascension. I hate to say it, you are destined to make the Viking Raiders the next Ascension. And that's not good. These are two big men who should be up there dominating. Instead, a name change sucks the life out of them. And now you have them do these stupid comedy skits that are making them look like absolutely idiotic. And no one's taking them seriously. But Vince thinks this is so funny. This is the best stuff in the world. No. To me, I think we already have our worst feud of the year right now. I'm sorry. What is this going to do to make me want to see a match between them? The Viking Raiders already beat the Street Profits clean in a match that I swore was for the tag titles. To me, they should be the tag champions right now. If they were, they'd be very crummy ones because of what they're doing right now. But they have no long-term storytelling for anybody. Anything. But, yeah, I literally can't stand this. We then had a segment with Asuka's championship celebration. You know, her and Kairi are celebrating. Kairi starts playing a recorder or whatnot. Nia Jax comes out. This is Nia Jax. Oh, Asuka, you were really handed the title, and yeah, you were just handed it so soon. You replaced someone who is more worth of the title. I've been the one that should have replaced her. So, let me get this straight, Nia. You're saying that Asuka was handed the championship. Asuka won a match that ended up being for the championship. If you would have won that match, you would have been the champion. But guess what? You didn't. So anyways, she continues. Perhaps me. I should be Raw Women's Champion. We're going to have a real party then. And then they attack Nia Jax. And then, yeah, we're getting Nia Jax and Asuka. The same woman that Nia Jax tapped out to 3 weeks in a row. And even had a chance to earn a title opportunity at WrestleMania 34. But then 3 weeks later, she got her feelings hurt. So because she was bullied, she got a title opportunity. So we're getting Nia Jax and Asuka at Backlash. And it looks like Asuka and Kairi Sane are baby faces again. Fine by me. They brawled backstage again later on, and I don't really care. Corbin's interviewed again backstage. I don't have any doubts, and Drew McIntyre may be WWE Champion, but I'm a king, and I know Drew better than anyone. I'm going to win tonight. And after that, next time I see Drew will be in the main event of WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. Yeah, right. Not going to happen. R-Truth was in the ring. He says his cousin, Pretty Ricky, told him that Bobby Lashley has been a bad man these last couple weeks. He talks about never giving up. He wants to get his 24/7 championship back from Tom Brady, which no, is on Gronk. And after he's done with Bobby Lashley tonight. Bobby Lashley squashes Truth, gets him to tap up to that full Nelson submission, basically the master lock again. Lana's watching backstage, losing her mind because Bobby Lashley's getting advice from MVP, and she's losing her mind for no reason at all. Somebody needs to find a cage and lock Lana in that cage. She's just a wild, psychotic animal right now who makes absolutely no sense. Her outbursts just don't make any sense. To me, would she come across as someone who got bored over Rusev, needs somebody new for pleasure, but now her pleasure buddy is now being distracted by someone who actually I can stand, an MVP, and she's going nuts. So, sorry, you're an idiot now, Lana. We got that. And then, oh. Speaking of stupid, let's talk about this next match. So last week, the Iconics were okay with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross not putting their titles on a line and made a non-title match. Well, guess what happens with non-title matches? The champions lose clean. That's what happened. So that's a lazy way of booking that got the Iconics a women's tag title shot. The same team that was gone for 9 months, and we've heard rumors that they were repackaging, right? This match didn't go too long because Peyton Royce randomly just gets disqualified for just constantly slamming Alexa Bliss shoulder first into a ring post. And, oh my gosh, what did I do? How did I do this? How did I go too far? What even set you off for going that far? So we wasted not only the tag champions losing clean last week, but a tag title match that just ends in stupid fashion. And then backstage later, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce are like, oh my gosh, you screwed me up, blah, blah, blah. Slaps across the face. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. They're the same. They're supposed to be gone and repackaging, but they're the same. And you already made it look like idiots. Way to go, Vince. But as long as their voice and Peyton Royce's funky looking dance move after posing, but iconic! As long as it makes you laugh, it's success, right? Vince loves it. Great. As Moxley would say. So we got that. We got a recap of The Undertaker Chapter 2, which I didn't get to see yet, so no spoilers. Then Shayna Baszler beats Natalya in a submission match. Afterwards, Natty threw another hissy fit and then just destroyed the Kevin Owens show set as they set that up. Owens came out like, okay, who cares? But first, before we had that, backstage, we have Zelina Vega and her loser trio now, because they keep losing, of Andrade Cien Almas, Angel Garza, and please go back to NXT, Austin Theory. I have a theory that he should go back to NXT. No pun intended. They're bickering again. They go out. Owens gets on the mic and says, folks have been wondering where he's been. He got hurt at Mania, but he's good to go. He's back, and the Kevin Owens show has returned. Out comes the stable. Zelina is like, she's sick of people like Owens who see one little argument and think the Empire is crumbling. Her boys are on the rise. They survived on the streets before. And tears down Owens for staying on the apron, and he's like, he'd argue it's actually more respectful to keep his distance, but the main reason he's here is he doesn't want the ring to be too crowded, because he's got another guest, Apollo Crews, who came out and beat down Andrade very viciously, and then we had a brief tag match where Apollo showed a pretty aggressive side throughout the match and wins, and sets him up eventually for a rematch for the U.S. title next week on Raw, where he's probably going to win, even though, see, the thing is when I saw this advertised, I'm like, oh, Kevin Owens and Andrade for the U.S. title wouldn't be a bad idea. Actually give Owens something to do, because he did something called One at WrestleMania, but he's taking another back seat to something else, like Owens always does. I mean, trust me, Apollo Crews winning a U.S. title will be great. In fact, when Apollo Crews wins that U.S. title, and he does finally turn heel, him and Kevin Owens should have a feud. That'll work, except, will Kevin Owens win the U.S. title immediately off of him? That's the thing. After the match, though, just during the match, Theory wasn't involved in the match, but he was at ringside. Garza, he accidentally hit Garza pretty much and caused him to lose, and afterwards, Andrade and Garza attacks Austin Theory and lays him out. So then we have Drew McIntyre being interviewed backstage. He had a great time. He's having a great time. Every Monday night is good for a Claymore party. He talks about the brand-to-brand invitation, wildcard rule. And how tonight he gets to face Corbin, who's generally a terrible human being, but he'll do whatever it takes to get the job done in the ring. Then, after more shenanigans of the Axes, we have Aleister Black taking on Buddy Murphy. Not too much happened really in the match, because most of the match we see that Rollins is walking around the ring, and still out there after the beatdown was Austin Theory. Now, when Theory got beat down by Garza and Andrade, I'm like, okay, send him back to NXT. I'm serious. Austin Theory needs to go back to NXT. I was hoping when they brought him up to briefly replace Andrade since he couldn't be in that match at WrestleMania, I thought, okay, this would be a great opportunity for him. No, instead, they've treated Theory like a third wheel, and to me, I'm not really digging him at all right now. So that's why I'm saying, go back to NXT. Instead, they moved him from one heel stable to the other because he pretty much joined Seth Rollins' stable. Which could be a good thing, but my thing is he's basically in the same exact spot as he was before. What's this going to do for Theory? Again, why is he still up on the main roster? I get it. Heyman's apparently very high on him. You haven't made him look good at all, though. So, I have mixed feelings about him being with Rollins. It could be a good thing. But again, what's the point of it if it's basically the same exact thing he was doing before? You know? So he had a beat down Austin on the Austin Theory, got a beat down on Black, and you know, all that happened and they embraced it. Anyways, so we have the main event. Drew McIntyre versus SmackDown's King Corbin. Who cares? Before the match gets started, though, MVP and Lashley come out. And they basically say him and Lashley have taken a personal interest in this match. And Lashley likes to say a few words. Puts him on notice and coming for the title, basically. McIntyre then beats Corbin. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't care. Afterwards, MVP's applauding on the stage, and Lashley advances as Drew says he wants to fight him, but MVP holds him back. And then it was announced today we're going to be getting Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley for the title at Backlash, which I'm not opposed to the match. I definitely like what they're doing with Lashley and MVP. It's about time Bobby Lashley gets some good bookings since coming back, because his booking's been shit since he's come back to WWE 2 years ago. He's already been that long. He's not been in one noteworthy feud, in my opinion. And he's finally, hitting the stride he needs to, because he actually has, a good manager in MVP. My thing is, though, it's too soon. I think they should have waited for Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. I mean, heck, I'll go as far as saying this. I would have been okay with them filling up time and painfully putting me through Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal for Backlash. Because Drew McIntyre needs to be champion in front of the fans. Him not having a crowd just sucks. Because he deserves a crowd. After everything he's been through and what hard work he put in for the past 10 years to get to this moment, he most definitely deserves to have a crowd. Give him the reaction he deserves. So him losing the championship that soon would be terrible because, honestly, I would want to see Lashley win the championship with him and MVP together. But McIntyre should not be losing the title yet. He shouldn't. And, again, Lashley's someone and you actually want to feel like he should be taking the title off of McIntyre. And that's the eventual plan eventually, fine. But I'm sorry, it's too soon. Which is why I think they should have waited a little bit longer. McIntyre needs to have a longer reign. You're just going to have him lose the title after 60 days? That's... all that hard work just for a 60-day title reign in front of no fans, not getting that reaction he deserves. That's the only problem I really have with them doing this match with Lashley. But it's happening. We'll wait and see. Will Lashley still come out looking good? Because again, they better keep that title on McIntyre. It's too soon for him to drop it. I mean, Lashley being champion, I want to see it with him and MVP. I still want to see Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar as well. But again, it's still too soon to take the title off of McIntyre, in my opinion. Not the right time. And that's the show, guys. With insult to injury and everything, I give the show a D+ again. I didn't like the show. There were some things I'm like were fine, but all that. Let me see here. Mark's live chat. Mark says Orton said WWE stands for World Wrestling Entertainment. I wonder where the entertainment part is. From Vince. We all know he doesn't care. Tyler doesn't care. He's not working with a champion. Open challenge. John Cena make it work. Charlotte needs to give up the NXT Women's Championship. I wish. All the tag teams are a joke, pretty much. I wish the police just put them to jail for what they did. And the Street Profits are the worst tag team champions this year. I wouldn't say they were the worst, just they're getting crap to work with. Honestly, I think they've done all right. It's just the material they're working with. Yeah, screw the wild card rule. Mark gave it an F. Owens is the most boring face ever, Tyler thinks. No grade for him for Raw. Alright. Well, guys, that's going to do it for Raw. I'm supposed to be video chatting with some friends in about an hour again, but I'm going to try to get my Backlash card predictions done tonight. I have a couple updates I want to make to after last night's episode of Raw, but that'll come soon. Got a good start also with the NXT Takeover in Your House card as well. Thank you guys for definitely checking that out. Make sure to keep checking it out. Definitely want to get those numbers up a little bit, but if they do, cool. If not, whatever. But that's gonna do it for Raw, guys. Gave it a D+. What were your thoughts on the show, guys? Leave us down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video. Subscribe or comment to my channel. And follow me on Twitter at DemandEverybody3. Check it out, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for my AEW Dynamite live review. And of course, some point this week as well, I will be doing preview and predictions for Double or Nothing on Saturday. So that's going to do it, guys. I'm checking out. I will see you all later. Have a great rest of your night. Peace out, everybody.